This is Judy Morimoto for DCTV, and this is Street Talk. Our question for the week is, who's more believable, Clarence Thomas or Professor Hill, and why?
I think that Clarence Thomas is more believable at this moment.
And why?
Because there's a lot of loopholes within her argument, and his name never was really mentioned by her panel. They just brought up the name that there was a supervisor, and that could have been one of many people. And my personal feeling is that it may have not been actual physical sexual harassment, but perhaps she wasn't promoted in a way that she felt that she should have been promoted. And so she didn't get promoted because she was a woman, then she may view that as sexual harassment, which is understandable, but that's no reason for her. You know, I just don't think her arguments are supported as strongly as his by the people he has on his panel. So, plus, just my opinion.
I don't think I can exactly tell between the two who is more believable, because they're both really credible. They both have spotless backgrounds. I don't think either one of them would ever lie. I mean, neither of them are gaining anything out of this. Everybody's just getting hurt by it. So it's really just hard to tell who is more credible in this situation. So that's my opinion.
Okay.
I think the lie detector test that she took kind of adds more credibility to her story. I know that it's something which everyone can get past, I guess. You know, you can fool the machine, but I don't think she has anything to really gain, you know, by lying. Really, it's not like she's gonna make more money or anything. I mean, so I think she's a little more credible than Thomas. Although I feel for the guy and everything, but I think Anita Hill's more credible.
I still believe Anita Hill, and I think that the present administration is not being fair in saying that Anita Hill is a certain way, or I mean, they should just listen to all the evidence given by all of the core, you know, all the witnesses, her friends and his friends, and just figure out which sounds the best and judge completely by the evidence, and not make not just to make a good sound judgment. And seeing what I saw, I believe Anita Hill.
I think Thomas is telling the truth, because I think there's factions that just want to just get him in trouble, you know? I mean, people don't like him, so they just hired somebody or just went and found any dirt they could on him, and I think it's just trumped up and stupid. So there you go.
Well, I guess I'm usually on the side of the women, because it seems to me that this kind of thing goes vastly underreported, and for somebody to come out and say something about it, I give her the benefit of the doubt. You know, it's a very hard thing to report. People give you a lot of crap. I don't think somebody would lie about it.
I believe Anita Hill. I think Clarence Thomas should be out of his nomination, and she's just a really credible person. All the witnesses that came up for her didn't seem to have any reason to lie, and I think that she just basically, Anita Hill didn't have any reason to lie about the whole thing. She told other people back then, and I trust her. So I think Clarence Thomas should be out of the picture.
My opinion about the Hill and Clarence Thomas business is that it's really very difficult, given the evidence that's been presented, to come to a conclusion from the perspective of a person on the street. From the distance of 10 years back, I don't feel that there's a clear case either way. That's my opinion.
But I think that Mrs. Hill's testimony is a little bit more believable in that she's so willing to take a lie detector test, and some of the things she said is a little bit more believable than the denial, an absolute denial on his side. So I don't think you can tell either way. I think it's 10 years old and it's hard to tell, but you know, I don't think they're ever going to conclude anything.
I do want to say one more thing, and that is, I don't think the whole truth has been brought out. Okay, so that's the other thing. If we had more information, it would be very useful, I'm sure, because it looks to me like there's something not quite right about this story.
I believe Professor Hill, because I think that the woman has nothing to gain if it were a lie. Why would she come forward like this, be ruining her whole career? She has nothing to gain by a lie, and it's her word against his. I mean, there's no real, you can't prove anything right now, but I would tend to believe her because she's nothing to gain otherwise.
I believe Clarence Thomas.
And why?
Just because he just seems like a decent human being, and I don't think that his record just is too clear not to believe, I think, basically. Not that I'm that well informed.
Well, I haven't really been watching the hearings, but I've been reading the papers and stuff, and I don't know, I'm kind of just a little bit favoring Hill. Just because when you think about all the factors and all that she has to gain and lose and all that stuff, I mean, it may sound trite and everything, but
That's a really, really hard question. It's a real contentious issue, and it's hard because you have the issues of racism and sexism both involved, and those are really tough issues to separate. I'm a women's studies major, so I'd have to say my politics are more aligned with Anita Hill. But I don't have all the facts. I don't know. I've been watching as much as I can, and I don't know. So I would lean more towards the professor.
I would believe Clarence Thomas because of his approach when he faced the Senate. I think he's actually telling the truth. But I don't really think it's an issue of sexuality and harassment. In actuality, I think it's just a ploy by the Republicans to try to keep black people out of the judiciary system. And I think it's also a ploy by the Republicans, seeing that they were the ones primarily responsible for the, vetoing the Civil Rights Bill. I think it's just, another way of exploiting black people and just preventing what ultimately will be its own failure. We've got to be able to open our system up to where we're open to minorities, we're open to blacks and other peoples. And the way right now is kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like very white supremacist kind of attitude. And I think the sexual harassment thing is probably more or less, I think, employed either by the CIA or the FBI and or both.
Oh, well, I believe in Professor Hill.
And why?
Because I just feel that you should probably believe the woman in any kind of sexual type accusation, even though there have been past, I'll look at you instead, past problems such as the skateboard rapist thing. Still, you should probably believe the woman.
It's kind of hard to tell, but you think about it, when it's taken so long for her to come out of it, it's really hard to believe her. You know what I mean? If it was really that big of a problem, I think she would have brought it up a long time ago. And that's basically it. So I think I believe Clarence Thomas, yeah.
I believe Professor Hill, because I think that, first off, she has really nothing to gain. She only has everything to lose by coming out with what she's saying. I mean, she gets no gain from this. And also, I think that, I don't think he's lying necessarily, but I think he may just not be aware. I think a lot of men just aren't aware that when they do things like that, women find them to be harassing. And I think he just may not know that he did it.